We're live. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode number 2 of Leadership by Design. I am your co-host, Siobhan Olivero, joined with my other co-host here, Craig Baumol. Craig, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Siobhan. How are you? And we have awesome, amazing people that are on here as well with us. And I'm so happy to be able to be here again with you and share the opportunity and the stage and mic for people to learn what there is to do with their businesses, what opportunities they have, not just in the immediate space that they're standing in right now, but what you can do in the future and distinctions you can find as to how to possibly shift or find access points for growth and learn more about what you could do for yourself, for your employees, and for your clients out there.
Absolutely. Craig and I created this show, as Craig was talking about, to help business owners, CEOs, those people in business where we just want to answer questions that business owners have, things that you struggle with, things that you may be going through. And we called it Leadership by Design because we want to focus on the leaders of the company, right? And helping you grow and helping you, do the things that you need to do in your business for success, as well as helping you create other leaders in your business so that you can design the business that you want and the outcomes that you want for your dreams. So we are joined by some special guests today, Kristins Medley and Nancy B. I didn't get your last name before we went live. I'm sorry, just Nancy B.
That's okay.
And so Kristen has an amazing story to share about something that happened in her business. And that when COVID hit, right, and everything got shut down, Kristen had to end up pivoting her business and taking it a different way. And Kristen's actually on a nonprofit. So this, but this I think is something that goes over to for-profit and nonprofit businesses. When something happens in our business that causes us to, where we may think the worst is coming and we may have to go out of business, but all we need to do is, as Craig said, find those micro distinctions or do what we need to do to pivot. So Kristen, welcome. And why don't you share your story with us?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, you guys. This is a fun evening to see smiles after a long day of trying to figure some stuff out with bumps in the road with all kinds of stuff. But yeah, so I'm Kristins Medley. I wear several different hats, and one of them, one of my most favorite, is the nonprofit that I started 9 years ago called the Curing Retinal Blindness Foundation. And curing retinal blindness. So let me just tell you, I trained to be a third grade teacher. I had no business being in scientific research or creating the only patient organization in the world for a rare eye disease. However, those of us that are moms and dads know that parents do what parents need to do. 2 of my 3 kids were born with this very rare blindness. And when a doctor says to you, there's no hope, go home, good luck. You sulk for a little while, and then if you're like me, you find some strategies to help your kids to get out there and thrive. And then I had an opportunity 9 years ago to start funding research to change the trajectory of their life with blindness, as the ophthalmology world was really starting to accelerate, and really did a learn as I go. Learned how to build a scientific advisory board, learned about scientific research, learned about my leadership skills. And then lo and behold, here we come in the year of 2020. Like, you guys, vision 2020, my marketing mind was exploding with all of our campaigns that we were going to do. And we had gotten to a point where we are known around the world as this little organization with mega power. Really became a top influencer in the blindness community, in the blindness research community. And we were literally, I had meetings scheduled in 4 other countries because we grew that much for this patient organization to go meet the doctors and patients. And then the world shut down. And I figured, as everyone else in research, in all businesses, right? Oh my God, the brakes are slammed. Our progress is over. And now we got to wait this out. And to know, being on the cusp of these massive breakthroughs and having all this going, and a lot of it was going on autopilot. You know how in your business you get to, like, there's certain things that can just keep running no matter what, because you put in the time and the systems, and nothing was working. And then all of a sudden I thought, hold on a minute. The whole world is figuring out Zoom. The whole world is like doing happy hours on Friday night on Zoom. Like, surely we can get them in a room and make it productive. And to make a very long story short, I asked my team, I said, have a little faith in me. I think that we can do a meeting like that has never been done for our organization. And sure enough, we brought all of the researchers that were funding, as well as some people that had some breakthroughs going on. I happened to call people and ask them. Every single person said yes. And then we put it out to all the families around the world. And we had 12 countries represented, families that never would have had access to the people that are working on treatments and cures for their kids, got to sit in a Zoom room for half a day and hear all the progress. And it just has changed the trajectory of our entire nonprofit, our entire mission, and opened doors that we thought were closed for a long time. So it's been pretty cool.
That's amazing, Kristen. And we hear so many people talking about what is not working, what did I lose out on, what did I miss the opportunity of, how did this change in the world mess over all my plans, and now I don't know which way to go forward. And you immediately stepped into what could possibly have been the greatest trajectory push of the history of your business, and possibly what the future would have held by at an exponential rate.
Yeah, what's interesting? Here's the beauty of it. I have messed up so many things with this organization, having no training in it, right? So I'm like, I remember one time an ex-board member was like, Kristins Smedley needs genetics for dummies. She doesn't know a thing about genetics. And I'm like, does that book exist? Because I do kind of need that. Like, that would be great. And I learned I could not learn the science in my lifetime. Like, so I had to build a scientific advisory board. And then it was like, this big fundraising thing failed. And then this one board member relationship failed. All the failures and trying something new to fix it led me to that moment where I'm like, we could sit here and have a pity party and have no progress this year, or just try this worldwide meeting. And now is the time. Everybody was failing at everything. So people were like, hey, at least you're trying something. So we just did at least we'll try. We're pretty good at failing. So why not? And then it worked. I had to get over myself a little bit.
Yeah. And Kristen, I think what I keep hearing in your story is, when we started talking initially, we were going to focus on the pivot of, a worldwide shutdown and COVID hit. And, what do you do to move your business forward when something catastrophic happens and you need to pivot? But it sounds like throughout the course of your nonprofit, you've been having to make pivots and shifts and do those and make those little changes that you needed to do in order to push your vision forward. So what do you think is, if you could give advice to somebody out there, a CEO, business owner who's like, my business is on the cusp of failing, I don't know what to do. What is it that drove you? Was it your vision? What is it that you could say, just this is what you need to focus on, and figure out that way to pivot, and what advice would you give them?
I would say, really, I had to dig deep and see what are the values that we have as an organization, or as a company. And honestly, I think that when you can keep digging deeper, when you are so committed to your mission, you're so committed that there just is no, this isn't going to work, unless it's time for it to not work and you got to go in a whole different direction, which is possible sometimes also. But for me, I have the two biggest motivators in the world, right? My boys are in my life every single day. And not that they're holding on for treatments and cures, because they're out there thriving. There are just a few things that they would like to be able to do. So I have the biggest motivation here, but I was so committed to this when I started it, because I don't like to do stuff if I'm not fully deep in. And one suggestion, if you've never read The Promise of a Pencil by Adam Braun, who started Pencils of Promise, he talks a lot about, it's a very quick read, and he talks a lot about when you have that unwavering commitment to what it is that you're doing, you find a way. And that's kind of where I was able to dig deep and try. Even if I was going like an idiot on Facebook saying, well, we tried to get everybody together and I blew up Zoom, it's when you have that unwavering commitment, you're willing to try something new. And the other big thing is that you're also willing to ask for help. because that was a hard one for me. I had studied my whole life to be the teacher of the year, and that's what I knew and I was so good at. Now I'm in this new space, and I just started asking for help all over the place. I'm like the queen of, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. You want to help me out? You want to come along for the wild ride? And it's amazing how many people will jump in and try to help you do the things you need to do. We just have to get over ourselves and ask them to help. So that was kind of two answers to that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I completely agree with that. I think as business owners and as leaders, we get lonely, right? And we feel like we're going through all of these issues and all of these things, and we feel like we're going through it alone. And I think sometimes our ego and our pride gets in, right? It's like I can't reach out for help and tell somebody that I don't get it, or I don't know what I'm doing, or I'm failing, or if I don't do this, this is just going to crash and burn everything. But and I absolutely agree with that. That getting out of our own way and getting out of our ego and understanding that this isn't something that everybody else isn't struggling with. It's something that everybody's struggling with. And I think it's great to that point. I was in a business coaching program different than the one that I'm in now, that where we all know each other from, but I was in a coaching program at one point, and I remember the head coach saying a lot, everybody feels like, when my business gets to $1 million business, and then when my $1 million business gets to a $5 million business, or when my $5 million business gets into a $10 million business, all my problems are going to be gone, right? But he's like, nope, those just became $1 million problems, and $2 million problems, and $5 million problems, and $10 million problems, right? The $1 million business still can't make payroll. The $5 million business still can't make payroll, right? They just become bigger problems. And so I think it's important that we ask for help and just get out of our way and go, everybody struggles with it. Just find that tribe of people that you can trust and confide in and get help, and know that you're not in it alone. Craig, anything that you want to add?
Two things that actually came to mind, and I love the get out of your own way that you keep saying, right? Because it really is that is the mindset that we sit in so often, is our brain, right? Where we hear so many times that people talk about, thought leaders talk about, that 2 million-year-old brain that's always looking for what's wrong, the thing to fear, the saber-toothed tiger outside the door, right? And we're not recognizing what is going right and what is possibly valuable, and so much of that is really inside of us, right? So the idea of getting up, the Nike saying, just do it, right? And people don't realize how simple that is, but how valuable it is. Get up and fail. Get up and fail again. Sooner or later, you learn what works and what doesn't, and you get so much further along than somebody that never got up in the first place.
Yeah.
Right. And Jim Rohn used to talk about, in talking to that money situation, Jim Rohn used to talk about the story about, if you went to somebody who lived in wherever they lived in a lower income area in the Midwest, and they were making, let's say it was like $2,500 a week or something like that, and the family was just barely surviving, and they're paying their bills, and they're just getting through, and you ask them how they're doing, you're like, okay, yeah, I'm doing okay. But you can speak to a family who has the same scenario, same size house, same size land, same bill structure, so for the most part, same family size, and they're making $3,000 a week, and you ask them, so how you doing? Yeah, it's okay, I'm just getting by. They have no difference in change in their financial situation, simply because their mindset is not what is next, what can be more, what can possibly be out there. And I guess from the book that you're talking about, The Promise of a Pencil, which I never read, and I put it down in the comments for people to be able to take a look at. But the understanding of what could be possible if I just take that step forward. And there's so many more opportunities after that step, right? Like we speak about in that Sean Callaghy talks about in Unblinded. Everything happens on the other side of yes, right? And that same yes goes for us, right? Ourselves. When we have that self-mastery, that opportunity to stand up and say, I'm going to get up now, and I'm going to start my day, whether it's at 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. for some people, or at 9 a.m, it doesn't make a difference. I'm going to get up and start my day and move forward. And that was something that you obviously did consistently, to the point where you became a small, not a big organization, and not a big fish in a small pond, but a small fish taking over a big pond. And that's pretty amazing that you got that space.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And the other thing too is, I think what I had to realize is, my other for-profit business is Brilliantly Resilient, which is a show and program. on resilience. But what I learned also is I had to uncover what exactly my brilliance, my talent is. And I am very talented at relationships. And like we say in Unblinded, ecosystem merging and finding other people that are like-minded and can advance. Like that is a big talent and brilliance of mine. I'm not brilliant at spreadsheets and math and stuff like that. It's not my thing, right? So I was wasting a lot of time trying to figure some of that stuff out, as opposed to finding people that can do that's their brilliance and they live for that piece of it. I found team members that would do. I still don't understand how I'm friends with some people I'm friends with that just live for the spreadsheet and all the numbers. And I'm like, what can we do for a Facebook story today? Who can we go meet today? But whatever. So I think when you really tap into, and as we say in Unblinded, your own unique heroic identity and go with that and know in your soul what you are and your brilliance, and then bring the other people in for the stuff that isn't, that's how you can also pivot easier and go further faster.
Yeah, absolutely. I think another whole show that can be dedicated to, right, just delegation of things that we shouldn't be doing, as the business owner and as the leader. But you hit another brilliant point, Kristen, as we know you're brilliant because I've been on your show and you guys are brilliant and resilient. But it is the relationship. And I think for you, that was maybe the big pivot moment for you, right? I think you guys were on this trajectory of exactly what you're talking about, right? The spreadsheet and the accumulating the grants and accumulating the money and gonna explode in an amazing way that way. But then when COVID hit, you had to pivot to go, well, I need to build relationships and I need to do these things with people. And I need to really start focusing on the people that I can bring together and that we can use to explode this. And I loved what you said, that you had people from 12 countries who never would have been able to get together, to meet each other, to see these amazing things. And now just imagining once, COVID passes and you're able to do even bigger things, like how much of an impact now just being able to build those relationships and have everybody meet over Zoom, which honestly, before COVID hit, would that have even been a thought for everybody to do, right? To get on a Zoom and meet and then explode the business even more relationally that way, because the way that we build strong and powerful businesses is relationships, right? So that's just something that I think was an amazing point that you hit.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, definitely. COVID definitely gave us access to stuff that we never would have thought about, when everyone was kind of looking at it as access was not a word that the world was using in the very beginning. Like we were denied access to everything, but we were given access to some incredible opportunities.
All right. Amazing.
One
Great.
thing, I wanted to just end off, and I really appreciate that access point, because I think when people talk so much before about social media, right, and the virtual world, it was a way that people used to block the reality that was around them, or to change the reality that they were actually living in.
Mm-hmm.
What ended up happening, I think, for a lot of people was they started using it for a way to really connect to the truth of what they were living in and what other people were living through. One thing I heard that really actually had a very deep impact on me, and it was something so simple. Called at one point in time, I was talking to a mortgage. I don't remember if it was a mortgage company or a bank, and on hold they said, if you hear the sound of small children or animals in the background, please understand, because we're all working to help you in the best way we can, but some of our employees have to work from home, and this is the situation we're all in, so please understand. So that meant a few things to me. That meant, first of all, some people got upset at others for having been in the situation where they were unprofessional, or whatever that means, that they had children in the background or animals in the background, not recognizing that we're all going through this together. I think it was the first time somebody really put it to my mind that this was the first time in like history that the whole world was going through the same challenges all at the same time.
Yeah.
So when I heard that recording, I was like, not only are there people out there that feel that way, but there are also people that cared enough to understand that this was important, that everyone understands that we are all going through this together. And people finally started reaching out and gaining that access to connect I ended up talking to like to a banker somewhere in the Midwest or Texas. I don't remember exactly where it was. And I learned about her entire life and what her dreams were. And when would that have ever happened,
Right.
before all this? And when people feel like they're being heard, when they're seen, heard, and that they matter, they not only want to give more of themselves, but then they want to connect and open up even more. And I think that's the access that you're talking about that I think has been so valuable for everybody at this point.
Yeah. And you just totally summed up what the brilliance was in us being able to engage all those patients and families from all over the world, because they feel so remote. They feel so unconnected. I had done such a great job in terms of marketing and relationship building with industry and FDA and all the pieces that we needed. And we were never getting to the actual patient families to engage them on the process. It's like, there's only a few of us. What can we possibly do? And this was the missing piece. And they felt valued and welcome and a piece of this now. They were in there and we were talking right to them, that they really have that whole like people say that know, like, and trust. Our families now have the know, love, and trust that they're a part of this also. It's not just that me and my small team are doing it for them, we're doing it with them and together. But yeah, that's a phenomenal point. That's exactly what happened with us.
That's amazing. I know that we're coming up to the end of the show, and at 7:00 we want to make sure that we're in time integrity. Nancy came on. I didn't know if there was anything on here that she wanted to share real quick before we jumped off of over here.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I know I just jumped on last minute, but everything you say resonated. And for me, it was about pivoting. It's about how can I see this as an opportunity instead of how can I see this as something I'm going to fail at. And so it did. And, like you were saying, Kristen, I'm now, coaching men in Rwanda. Like, when was that ever going to happen? Men that need help, with love and health and just across the world. So I really value what you're doing. That is so important. Yes, there's nothing like children to put that drive in you.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, thank you for having me. I feel like this was a gift to me to remind me why I do what I do. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here, Nancy. And I think you had another key distinction that I'm going to hit on before we wrap up and finalize. And that was just that, that access point and that micro distinction of how we view things, right? Not viewing it as how can I fail, but viewing it as how can I make this an opportunity? Or, even if it was something that didn't work as well as it needed to, or the way that you wanted it to, it's that how can I use this as an opportunity? What can I learn from it? How can I grow from it? And how can I use it to catapult me forward in learning what I need to learn, and how can I use it to pivot? So, all right. So
Beautiful, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Siobhan, thank you so much for doing this with me, for co-hosting this time with me. And I look forward to bringing on anybody else, anyone that you think might value it, anybody that's out there watching this in the Facebook world that thinks they might value it. Please invite them to come on next week as well, and let us know any questions that you want to have answered along the way. We always want to be able to hit on specific topics to help business owners get through their process, pivot, grow, accelerate in every way possible.
absolutely. So as we wrap up, Craig, how can somebody reach you if they want to reach out and talk to you?
You can reach out to me on Facebook. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn, Craig Baumohl, Baumohl. And you can always give me a call, 347-607-1213. I'm glad to help in any way I can. WhatsApp or text is the best way. And yeah, let's connect. And I'm glad to guide you in any way I can.
Awesome. And Sam, you can reach me on Facebook. If you're watching this, you're watching it on my Facebook feed. So I know you know how to reach me on there. So you can send me a DM inside of Facebook. You can call me at 813-501-7721, or you can email me at info@oliverolaw.com. And Kristen, if somebody wants to reach out to you, how do they reach you?
Everything to find me is on kristinsmedley.com, and I am Kristen with an IN. There's a long, ridiculous story of why I'm not an EN, but I am Kristen with an IN, kristinsmedley.com. And that's my handle all over social media too. So hook up with me there.
And I spell your name wrong all the time. And Craig, I think we have an email address for people if they want to send in questions for the show, don't we?
We do. And I remembered it got changed. I don't know
Yes.
how that happened, but
And this
it
is when we're
is.
on the fly and not prepared for
I
questions.
know, seriously, right? It is leadershipbydesign630@gmail.com. That's leadership by design, spelled exactly as it sounds, number 630@gmail.com.
Awesome. So you can send in any questions you have, or anybody you know that might be on the show or want to be on the show. And again, we're reaching out for guests. Anybody who wants to come on and come and join us next week. So as we wrap up, thanks for joining us. And we look forward to bringing you more information next week to help you grow your business, create leaders, create and design the business that you want for the amazing outcomes in life that you want. And we are Leadership by Design. So thank
Have an
you.
awesome night, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.